The marathon journey continues. And this past Sunday, I ran my 8th marathon, the Tidewater Striders Spring Marathon. It was completed successfully. I am a proud member of the Tidewater Striders organization, one of the premier organizations here in the southeastern Virginia area. I shall proudly display this latest medal to my medal wall. And it will be next to my Tidewater Striders Half Marathon Award, which I got back in 2022. And that's when I also got the award for first place in my age group. So nice and appropriate place to put it. It went well. Hey, anytime you finish a marathon, it's a good day, right? Finishing is what it's all about. But I will give you a recap and tell you how it went. And why don't we go ahead and do that right now. I am out on a recovery walk, feeling great, letting the blood flow to the recovering muscles. But first, I want to say this. I'm grateful. I'm eternally grateful that I have the ability to still run marathons and participate in endurance events at the age of 64, soon to be 65. All right, that's a win in itself. So I'm grateful, and I'm privileged and honored to be able to do that. And the next thing is to go through a 16-week training cycle that included 700 miles before I hit the start line is also a huge win. To get to the start line injury-free and run the marathon and complete it successfully. All right, so having said that, let's go over a little bit of a recap. I got to the race, I felt great. As you know, the training cycle went super well. My nutrition was on point. My pacing decision was on point. I decided that my pacing was going to be around 9:45 per mile. And I started the race with the intent of maintaining that pace. My first couple miles were in the 9:30s. Well, actually, first 2 miles were the 9:20s. And the up until mile 15, I was on pace. Okay? And miles 16 and 17, I would say, and 18, still on pace to hit the goal. But come mile 19. At mile 19, we were under direct sunlight. And this is not to make any excuses, because marathons are an interesting race. Anything can happen. You just don't hear too many people talk about the difficulties. Normally, when you look at social media, you see all the wins. People talk about their wins, their sub-3s, their BQs, and there's this and that. But there's a whole ton of us that are out there being resilient and working towards our own personal goals and working towards achieving the impossible for some of us. You know, everyone, you go to a race that there's 20,000 people running, 50,000 people running, every single one of them has a different purpose for running this marathon. And I saw a video recently with Kipchoge himself saying the marathon distance is not just about speed. It's about endurance. It's about accomplishment, that you had the tenacity and the grit to complete. If you can complete a marathon, whether it's 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, even those that are running 6 hours, on their feet for 6 hours for 26.2 miles, it's still a huge accomplishment, it's still a win. And here's that video that I just saw of Kipchoge, who just ran the London Marathon. Here's what he had to say.
What message do you have for runners that were never super fast and that can sometimes kind of cast a shadow on how we feel?
Running actually is not about running fast. In fact, that's the message. Running is about accomplishing that marathon. It's about going beyond that finishing line. That's the beauty of running. That's the beauty of running. The moment you go actually across the finishing line, you have accomplished yourself. You have accomplished your mind. Get that accomplishment, use it in your own profession, or your own profession, in your own family, in your own setup. And you'll get, I always say, anybody who is running for long, who is running marathons for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, he or she can solve any problem in this world. He can solve any problem at all.
So as you can see, the GOAT himself has a different point of view when it comes to completing and finishing a marathon. And I think that has a lot to say about his character. And I think we should all rise up to that occasion. Those of us that are still able to run long distances and challenge ourselves, we should be all proud to be able to do such a thing. So getting back to the race recap, I got to mile 18. I was running with a friend. I met up with a friend. It was her first marathon, and she just happened to be running my pace, so we ran together for about 2 miles. And that was a bit of motivation, because at that point, at mile 18, I was starting to enter the pain cave, as I like to call it. I didn't hit a wall at mile 20, 21, because my nutrition was on point. I was taking a gel every 20 minutes. I was well hydrated. I was feeling strong. But the pain is something totally different from hitting the wall, I believe. The pain is something that you have to deal with mentally. There's mental pain, there's physical pain, and it all happens depending on your fitness level, depending on everyone's capabilities. When that pain comes, that's when mental strength, mental fortitude has to come into the equation. That's when you have to keep pushing through the discomfort. And that's what I had to deal with from mile 21 to 26. And some people believe that the pain is a beautiful pain. How can you think of pain as being beautiful, right? But that's just us marathoners. We go through it, and that's the way we look at the discomfort. We have to push through it. And everyone had their day. It was a small marathon. I finished 3rd place in my age group, which was a huge win for me, because I didn't think I was even there. I thought in my age group there would be so many other runners that were faster. But one of my friends who got 2nd place in the age group, that's the 60 to 65 age group, he ran a fast finish in the last 2 miles. He was staying back. He was behind me until mile 24, and then all of a sudden he made his move. And let me tell you, I tried to keep up with him. That man was booking. And he finished in a 4:31. I finished in 4:33. And I spoke to him afterwards. You know what he said to me? He said, this was my 99th marathon. At 69 years old, this was his 99th marathon. And he says whenever he runs a marathon, he always makes it a point in the last few miles to pass at least 10 people. That's his motivation. That's his why, so to speak. Everybody's got their own little mission, and that's okay. And it was an enjoyable conversation to talk to him about how he finished. But, so here we are. Marathon number 8 is in the books. And you know what? I'm not done with running marathons. There will be others. And that's the way I feel. Like right now, I feel fantastic. I just did a 2.5 mile walk to help the recovery process along. I'm going to take a week off to let the body recover properly, because there's recovery happening even at the cellular level. So after a marathon, especially if you ran it hard, you have to allow for recovery. And then after that, we're going to focus on some other things, but mainly strength. Strength is going to be a huge key for me, because I've noticed that there are some imbalances that I have to address, especially in the hip flexor area, and some specific exercises are going to be required in order for me to get stronger. But I'm pleased, I'm grateful, and I'm happy to have the ability to do what I do. Thank you for following my journey. Thank you for watching. And if you're a runner, keep keep believing in yourself, keep moving forward, and keep bettering your best. Keep becoming a better version of yourself, right? That's what it's all about. It's you versus you, as I said, and just keep at it. All the best. I'll catch you on the rebound.